A group resource calendar is an example of a shared resource. So you have someone who walks up to a shared calendar of a meeting room in a building, and a colleague wants to book that meeting room too. So there's competition. So what happens to deal with the competition for this shared resource is you put a lock around it. And then if you don't put the lock wisely in your system, if you allow unrestricted locks, unconstrained locks that can be living forever, the person may go and put a lock on it and then go to lunch and go to some other meeting, eventually go home, forget about it, and nobody else can go and get to that room. So you want to avoid this, and every lock that you allow in the system needs to be time bombed and needs to expire eventually. So if you have shared resources and you do shared access, then every time you do a lock, you want to have that time constraint, so you cannot get to a situation like the one that I just explained. This is the pessimistic approach, where you're locking something because you're expecting competition. A more optimistic approach is to assume that concurrency is not going to be commonplace. And the way you do this is you have a resource and you front that with a queue that provides fairness. And at first, all competing parties will go and look at the state and see whether the resource is available. If the resource is available, then they will go and try to reserve it, which means they will send a message to it. And most groupware products that you can get will allow you to send emails, send invitations to resources, which will then auto respond. And so you send the first email from the person on the left side. The person on the left side gets an okay. Yes, you have reserved this room. The second person gets a no. No, you couldn't reserve this room. And in this situation, the person on the right will go and compensate and simply find a different room, or if no room is there, will have to possibly move the meeting. But that's typically okay behavior. That's typically acceptable compensation strategy, and it's certainly fairer than allowing someone to indefinitely lock a resource and then in the end probably not leverage it.